at the time. When you have that sort of legacy behind your name, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot. I know I'm carrying a lot with my name. You know, it's not just me as an individual. It's a legacy, as you say. You know, my family, they have a neat story. You know, very strong people from 1800s, 1700s to be free at that time. You know, it's incredible. And just hearing the stories from growing up, living really close to Chubb Town, and my dad being a part of Chubb Town helped build, my dad's dad building, you know, still working it and things like that. I mean, it's special to me, you know, and to be able to go back and see when my family started and to have Chubbs now, I mean, like Bradley, you know, playing in the NFL, I mean, it's definitely special.
Having that, I want to say pressure, but that responsibility of everything, like you're saying, coming out of, you know, free slavery, and then having the voice, having the influence that you have now, is there anything more that you feel on yourself, or it's just you were born with it?
I think I was born with it. I think because of what they did back then, you know, just how strong they were, you know, I feel like it's inside of me, you know, just if they can go through that, which I can't imagine, you know, at that time, what they had to face, you know, me playing a sport of football, which is fun, you know, I think it carried over through me.
So we were driving in this morning, and we saw a sign coming in, some exit that said Strongville.
Yeah.
So you from Chubbstown or Strongville? Because when we were doing research, we saw some high school photos. You running track.
Yeah.
Looked like you had on a wrestling uniform.
I did. One piece.
But you was busting up out of that thing. Growing up, how often did the parents or the other coaches ask for your birth certificate? Because you a beast, man.
Yeah, I know. I think in high school, my junior, senior year, I kind of developed, like, I look like this back in high school, and so I think at that point, everybody, I got the steroids. You know, he's on steroids, he's juicing. I got all that. You know, people not believing my age, but I mean, I just worked. That's all I did. I just worked out in high school like 3 times a day, like legitimately. Yeah.
You know, you made a decision. You were a 4-star athlete, as Fred was talking about. You led the state of Georgia in rushing. You went for what, 2,600 one year, I think. 2,600 the next year, 38 tubs, then 41 tubs. You know, Georgia is a football state, much like Louisiana, but you make the decision to go to Georgia when Todd Gurley was there. I think Marshall was there as well. Sony Michel commits with you, who's a 5-star. When you are the man at Cedartown and you're the guy, what was it about Georgia that made that the right place for you, especially with all the competition you knew you'd have there?
I feel like the biggest thing was Georgia was home to me. You know, I was born and raised there. I love living there. One day when I'm retired, I want to live in Georgia. So I feel like Georgia was mine, even though they're already going there. None of those guys were from Georgia. And so I feel like I had that edge, you know, and also the competition. I mean, I played behind, Todd he would be a junior when I got there, him and Keith. So I could play behind them 1 year, you know, hopefully they leave, which Ty ended up leaving. Keith stayed another year, but also, you know, playing with Sony, and I think me and him became like, we're brothers now because of that decision we both made. And I think back then looking at it, I was nervous, you know, going in as a freshman. Everyone's saying that I'm gonna get red-shirted because I was a 4-star, Sony was 5-star. Keith and Todd already playing really good ball, so like the pressure thing, man, I use that to my will. You know, I continue to grind and I just go back to work.
Question on Sony, you said you're like brothers. He recently retired. Did you have any conversations with him before or after making that decision?
You know, being honest, I haven't talked to him yet. You know, I don't really understand what went into it. He was trying hard to make a team, and he finally got picked up by the Rams, and then he retires. You know, I called him, but he was on the plane. He called me back. I was in camp. We haven't talked yet, but I need like a lot of time for us to sit down and talk. So I haven't hit him yet, but I'm sure we're gonna figure it out.
So you mentioned competition. When you got here, it was Carlos Hyde and I think Duke Johnson, 2018. You guys traded Carlos to Jacksonville, and you were inserted as a starter. You haven't looked back since then. 4 straight Pro Bowls, tons and tons of carry. You lead the all running backs in yards. I think over like 6,300 yards in 5 years. Some would probably call it wear and tear in this state where the game is. But do you consider yourself the best running back in football? And let me say this. You weren't always in my top 5 backs. And it's no knock necessarily on you. It's just me and my biasness. You're a bulldog. I'm a Gator. So I was a little kind of...
I get it.
I was a little kind of sideways with that. But now you're number 1 in my book right now. So competition, like, that's just your thing. That's what drives you the most.
It is, man. It drives me. That fuels my fire. Just, I'm not active on Twitter and social media, but I see everything. I do search my name. I see who's talking. I'm guilty of that. I see where they got me ranked. I see all that stuff, and I don't say anything. No, I put my head down. I go to work. That's why I'm here. That's what's got me to this point. Just seeing everything, hearing everything, and just proving everybody wrong.
I guess I can go back and ask the original question. Are you the best back in the league?
From the way we are greeted to the quality of the food, Culver simply puts more care into every meal.
I think I am. I think I'm the best back.
As you talk about Georgia with the competition with Gurley and Michelle, and you have no problem going to play, and then you come here, Kareem was here, and you have other good backs. As a running back, doesn't that take away from your carries, your yards, your numbers that are going to get you paid and get you the respect of people saying it? Like, if I was a running back, I don't want nobody else good in the backfield, so I want all the carries. Shouldn't y'all running backs be selfish?
That's the story of my life, man. Playing with Sony all throughout college and coming here and, playing with Kareem. But you can look at it like that if you want. But me personally, I like it because, you're sharing the load in a way, and also, it helps you out in the long run. But the way I approach it is I know I got a certain amount of carries, so I got to break one. I got to break one, break two, and I get the chance because I know at some point Kareem's going to get a chance to break one too. I can't let him outperform me, So at some point I gotta hit the home run, and I gotta separate myself from whoever I'm trying to backfield with.
I want to take you back because you mentioned all the competition that you've played with. It's October 2015, early on against Tennessee. You get a carry. I think it's a video that most of us have watched and winced when seeing it live. Everyone's scared because you were such a dynamic player as a young sophomore at Georgia, but to see something like that happen to a young man with so much promise, it's always, will he ever be the same? Can this guy get back to everything he's always been? When you're lying on that field in Tennessee, knowing you suffered a serious knee injury, what were the thoughts in your head as a young man?
Yeah, I still remember it, man. It was a crazy time for me just because I had, an incredible freshman season. And then sophomore year, I was doing good too. I think like 6 games, 700 yards. I'm in a Heisman campaign, and everything's going perfectly for me. And then that one play, I pretty much lost it all. I tore everything in my left knee, except my ACL, my MCL. So everything else you name it, it was torn. Even my hamstring, it was bad. And in that moment, I didn't understand the severity of it because I was young. I just assumed it was ACL. Being a running back, I tore my ACL. It happens, but once I saw the video and I saw how my doctors were, kind of talking and whispering amongst themselves, I realized it was bad. And I remember thinking back to like when I was in high school, I saw Lattimore. He had kind of a similar injury, and so I don't know what happened with him, but I know he didn't really come back. He didn't really play anymore. So in my mind, I'm thinking, my career is probably over. But I'm thankful for Georgia, my family, and just God, just for me getting back to myself and being able to, make it to the NFL. And have a great senior year at Georgia, and just to be where I am now, I'm just thankful that, things didn't go that bad for me.
You've gotten to the point now, you're looked at as the premier back in the league. And right now, running backs are in a position that seems to be devaluing their worth as players, yet continuing to utilize them for success on the field. You guys had an opportunity to get on the Zoom call, and this was prior to Saquon deciding to go to camp and, sign the 1-year deal with the New York Giants. But there's Tony Pollard, who's out there who will be playing on the 1 year. Josh Jacobs, not reporting to camp. And you, who aren't always extremely vocal, you spoke about the call and some of the things that you guys tried to communicate during that call. How do you feel about the running back position and the way that they are being treated as it pertains to contract negotiations?
Yeah, I think we're in a tough spot. Fred, you understand too. They use us in every way. We run the ball, we catch, we block. That's the 3 most important things in football, and we do all 3 at a high level. But when it comes to negotiations, they don't value that because of our wear and tear. I assume that's why they assume we will get hurt, at a faster rate than anyone else. And they also assume that we can easily be replaced. Yeah, it's tough. That's why, I work as hard as I can because, for one, stay healthy, and 2, I don't want to be replaceable. I don't want, they think anyone can come in and do what I do. But as far as a whole, they have us where they want us. What can we ultimately do? At the end of the day, it's their call. We can sit out, but we're going to lose money, and they can replace us. They're going to try to replace us, and in some cases, it's worked. I mean, Eckler came in behind Ingram. You know, he did good.
Yeah, they had James Conner.
James Conner came behind him, and he did good, successful. So I don't want to be in that situation where somebody come behind me and take my spot. So I'm healthy. And first thing first, I'm healthy, and I'm separating myself from everyone around me.
Now, I guess I won't say the argument, but the thought is that a team with a running game can't keep up with them quarterbacks. If you're going to run the ball, you need 12, 15 plays to score, where Patrick Mahomes go out there in 2 and 3 and bing, 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 bing. What would you say to people that say, you can't have a Super Bowl winning team right now if it's run-based?
I think the difference in passing and running the ball is, I mean, anybody can go out there and pass, and, you know, it's pretty, it's fast, you know, efficient. But to beat a team down, you got to run the ball. To physically beat them down, you run the ball. And you can go out there and pass. They're going to pass too. It's going to be a pass like a shootout, you know. But when you run the ball, you physically beat a team down, they will quit. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you want a team to quit and, like, yield, you run the ball down their throat. And that's the way to stop them. And if a team if that can be their mindset, I think that's better than the passing team.
Some of your team goals, I'm sure, would be to win the division. But personal goals, short-term and long-term. What are some of your short-term goals? And as far as long-term, do you ever look at the history of Jim Brown and say, I want to try to outdo him, you know, take away his team? Well, not take away, but outdo his team, Mark?
You know, Jim has some crazy stats. I don't know if I can touch it with, you know, with the yards. I am halfway there. But that story of my life too, man. Playing by Herschel Walker, I couldn't catch him. And then like Jim Brown, like, you know, I want to go somewhere first and set the record. But you know, it is what it is. You know, I can try my best. I don't really have personal goals. You know, I just work as hard as I can, and I feel like, you know, everything will work out for me. But I think now, going into year 6, I've had these, you know, steady years of 1,000 yards. But I want that, like, that one crazy breakout year, you know, like just a crazy year, you know, not just a typical quiet, silent 150-yard game, like, you know, something that like flashy or something.
So like 300, breaking a single game mark.
I ain't even had 300. I ain't even had 200-yard game yet.
No,
I haven't. So I mean, even that, like something different. That's also, you know, great.
But when looking at your numbers, the one thing that stand out the most to me is your career average per carry. In this amount of time, I think you've had around 1,200 carries. You're averaging over 5.2, you know, per carry, which is, I think it would lead all running backs in the history of the game, you know, at that amount of carries per career. I think one of your strongest attributes are obviously your power. People underestimate your shiftiness and your vision. You know, what would you consider your strongest?
We had a 6-hour layover in Rome, which was just enough time to tour the ruins, if we skipped the line. Explore over 300,000 travel experiences you'll remember. Do more with Viator.
Point.
Strongest point. That's a great question. I would say my power and my vision. Power, vision, explosiveness, I would say. But, you know, the vision, that's just kind of an instinct. You know, I'll be honest with you, I don't make the best reads all the time, but my strength, you know, it overcomes that just because I can break a tackle. You know, if I make a bad read, I'm just going to try to break the tackle and make it
Do you ever
right.
look at the film and say, damn, how the hell I did that?
I have once in a while. Every now and then I look at the film like, I don't know how I did that. I don't even remember how I did it. It was like COVID year. I made a play against the Eagles. Like, I jump cut and I reversed and I did some crazy play. And I didn't know I even did it. And the next week in practice, Coach Stump, he like has the drill set of like the play I made. And I'm like, I don't even know what I did. He told me to do it again. Like, I don't know what I did. Right. It just happened so fast.
Can I talk about the Nick Chubb thirst traps? Right, so you know, you're not active on social media, you said, but you will, you know, search your name just to get a little motivation from people doubting you, especially after all of your accomplishments. I know you're not going to be on social media with your shirt off and stuff like that, but a Nick Chubb thirst trap, they come around every off season around July, right? There's going to be like 700 pounds on the squat bar. It's gonna be a lot of high school kids jumping around, real fired up. They use the tsunami bar so it can bend, and now everybody on TV is like, oh, the bar's bending. I'm like, well, that's what it's supposed to do, guys. Nick's tricking y'all. He ain't gonna say that. But you go back to your high school in Cedartown and work out. And we're not in the time where Fred played, right? Where you had to train in the sandbox by yourself because they didn't have facilities around in the early 50s. You know, this is probably right after Chubb Town was founded. But not for real, you know, you go back every year. Jamie Abrams, who's the coach that was hired there, said you were at the introductory meeting, right? Like you were just one of the guys. What is it? Mike Worthington, I think, is the trainer there. And you said you owe him so much for your career. In an age where you get to watch everybody train because at these different facilities and these different places, you still choose to go back to your hometown and get that real grind in. What is it about your school? What is it about where you're from? What is it about that training that always brings you back home?
The biggest thing for me is just, you know, I remember how hungry I was as a high school kid. And it's so hard for me to tap into that mindset again. You know, I can't be that hungry kid that worked out 3 times a day. Mentally, I just can't, because I have a lot of things now. I'm successful. So that's the closest thing I can do to feel like I'm still that high school kid, is to go back to my hometown with Mikey Worthington in the same weight room when I had nothing. You know, that's the same place I had nothing in. It's the same coach who was there, who believed in me as a young kid. To go back and just to feel all that again, that is just, it works magic for me. It's a blessing I'm able to do that. It's a special feeling. And I mean, all my success comes from me going home in middle of Cedartown, which is nothing around, and just grinding for 6 months straight.
And bro, on leg day, you just say put it all on the bar? Like, is there a number? Because you count 670, 750, whatever. It's just all of it, coach. Put it all on there.
And the fun thing about it, I don't really have a max. I just stop at some point. Like, I just be like, all right, that's enough. That's enough for this year, you know. But yeah, it's because Worthington, man, he pushes me, and sometimes I don't feel like doing all that weight. He say, Nick, when you was in high school, you would have did it. He just like takes me back to, you know, me being hungry, and he just stays on me, makes sure I'm working every day, and I get under that bar and I squat, and that's motivation too. I mean, I don't want to fall and get hurt, get down, so I gotta pull it up.
You know, before every game, right, there's the uniform check man, right? The guy that comes around, he checks your uniform, and if you're a DB, there is something you're gonna have to dispute every game, right? It's a towel in the wrong place, my socks or something like that. I know for certain Nick Chubb has never in life gotten a uniform fine. You remember the little dude, the uniform guy that's on the wall that got his gloves on and he's standing straight up and his socks are pulled all the way to this spot?
Yeah, that's
you
me.
dress exactly like that every game.
I hear that.
Nick,
I hear that all the time.
Why no swag? Why don't you try at all, bro?
I don't know what they want me to do. I got the socks and the gloves on. Like, what else? You want me to wear a sleeve, visor? That's just not me. I'm just not that person, man. My mind is so focused on the game, man. I can't. That would distract me. And I like my hands. I want to feel nothing no more. I want to feel that ball on my arms. I got to feel that ball. So I mean, that's just who I am. That's just what I do.
Is the Cleveland market big enough for a superstar like yourself?
Well, I'll say it is. I mean, I'm here, so I think it is. I mean, they had LeBron, so.
Hey, that's a high quality point.
That is a high quality point.
I'm nowhere near that level.
That's a high quality point. But I say it because I think sometimes when you have those conversations, you know, about the running backs, you know, some guys are flashy. You know, if you take Saquon, for example, who's also one of my favorites, playing in the New York market, you know, I've always felt like a lot of guys that play in that market, they can do even though he's not doing the bare minimum, they can do the bare minimum and they'll get such high praise. Whereas a guy like yourself who's down here grinding, you don't say much, you just come to work, you know, make guys look silly on the field, and then you don't get the same type of love when it comes to marketability. So that's the reason I asked that question.
Yeah, I see that too, but I also think just because I think inside of Cleveland, like the people and the fans here, I feel like they give me that hype and that recognition that I deserve. I feel like we match perfectly. Like how I approach the game, how I work, the fans of Cleveland love that. You know, and I love working to win games for them too. So it's a mutual thing. And inside of Cleveland, I am that demand. You know,
you are,
and
sure.
Outside the world, you know, it is what it is. They got other opinions, but I like being right here.
On the field and off the field, you got 4 now. You can't stack that box.
Yeah.
If Deshaun back there, you better stack that box. Have you seen the plan and just seeing how, or thinking about how much easier your job's gonna be now that you got 4?
Oh, I love it, man. I've been saying 2 high safeties. I don't ever see 2 high safeties. Check to the run, you know. But yeah, I love it. It'll definitely make my job easier, make the O-line job easier. I mean, you pick your poison. You want to stack the box. I mean, Deshaun can make any throw on the field. You want to lighten the box, you know, we can do any run we want. So I think it's definitely working in our favor.
You know, and after the 2000, I think it was 19 season, you were on Jim Rome, which is another shocking development in my studies. And, you know, you said that it was a talented team, but you felt like y'all fell short. And you mentioned how when you have a talented team, but you don't feel like the work is to the level that it needs to be, you don't find the success you're looking for. What is this team, which is immensely talented? When you think about Coop, Elijah Moore, David Njoku, yourself, you mentioned Deshaun Watson, adding pieces defensively as well, and Kevin Stefanski, who's one of the best offensive minds in football. From the outside looking in, it's okay, this should be the year. The other side of it is, too, the AFC North is stacked, right? You have first-round quarterbacks everywhere. You have teams that's going to the Super Bowl, MVPs, all of those things. What are you guys focusing on this year so all of that talent can equal wins on the football field?
Yeah. The biggest thing we're focusing on is ourselves. You know, we practiced in Greenbrier for 10 days. We would it was private. No fans were there. It was just us worrying about us. And then we came home and we're not really doing much now. We're not really traveling. We have a joint practice with Philly, but other than that, I mean, it's just us worrying about us. Our public days, like maybe like 8 days, fans can come. You know, I think just the biggest thing is us being the Browns and head down, grinding and working. And one of our sayings is that we just work. We're a team and we work. And I think this year we've been working very hard. You know, guys have been doing extra. Guys have been, you know, in the weight room longer, stretching more. And I think all that just coming together, it's put us in a position where we are a better team.
You know, going forward, when you think about what the traditions here are, you mentioned your fans, bro. Like, when I played in Pittsburgh, when we came here, we expected to win. Ben Roethlisberger won a lot of games here. But the fans always showed up. They always talked cash money from the stands. And they've been waiting for a champion, waiting for that team to explode and bring something to Pittsburgh that they haven't had. When you think about the city of Cleveland, how it fits you, how much, though, do you want to get that win for these fans who have supported no matter what was going on in Cleveland? They've supported the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, these fans here are the best in the world. I mean, they 0-16. They're gonna be full, and it's gonna be all Browns fan. Like we're undefeated. They're rowdy and intense, and I think, man, just having them at our side through thick and thin. We've been horrible at times. Like even when I've been here, we've been bad, and they've been right there with us, you know, no matter what. And I think they deserve it more than anybody, just to have at least a winning team. Like we can give them a winning team at least, you know, but to have further than that, like a championship, a Super Bowl. I mean, man, I've heard stories about, you know, when LeBron James won the championship and they had the parade. I heard that it was crazy. And people would say, you know, that'd be nothing compared to if y'all won Super Bowl. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I think if we won Super Bowl, I can't even imagine what it would look like downtown. It would be bad.
What do you care about other than being the best running back you can possibly be? I know you supported sudden infant death. You wanted to bring awareness to that with your cleats. You know, you go back home and train for 6 months. What are your other interests other than this?
It's my family, you know, my mom, my brother, my little sister, and my brother and little sister's kids. They have, my brother has a daughter, my sister has a son. So I think just hanging out with them at home, that's all I care about, is my family and football.
You know, you mentioned family and football, and this all started from that point, talking about Chubb Town and, you know, your grandfather and all the things that they've done to build a tradition in that name. You know, Fred mentioned the goals of the Jim Browns and obviously individual goals that you can have yearly. But when you think about where you could be going forward as it pertains to your place in this game, do you think Hall of Fame? Do you think greatest running back ever? Because Fred often says he felt like if he set those goals earlier, he would have been a different player. He would have approached it a different way. Do you ever think that far ahead?
It's hard for me to think that far ahead, you know, just how I approach my days, just day by day. So, you know, the work I put in today, I hope it does lead me to, you know, a better future Hall of Famer. But it's hard for me to think about that when we can't even get 8 wins. You know, it's hard for me to think about that when we're playing at this level. You know, my mind is just on helping my team win games and, you know, playing my best to help my team win. I want to have a great game to help my team win. You know, that's the biggest thing for me.
How does that work for you though, right? You great high school player. You attend Georgia, right? A team that's always going to win, playing in the best conference in football. And you've now been in this place where it's like we can't get over the hump. Yeah. We could get to the playoffs, get a win. We lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. We're expecting to be better the next year. The bottom falls out, right? It seems like there's always another shoe that is dropped here. How have you maintained your drive and maintained who you are as a person in those times?
I mean, it just goes back to me being in high school, just how I came up, how I always worked. And it's instilled inside of me. I think the biggest way, you know, because I stay on top of my game. You know, I'm disciplined, I work hard, I do everything right. And on Sundays, I go out there, I try to perform at my best. So the biggest thing to go from good to great for me to contribute to the team is bringing guys with me. You know, it's been times where I go do extra by myself, and at the end of the day, that's helping me out, but it's not helping the team out. So how can
Dude, why you let me get this low? Feed me.
You know, it works for me, maybe it works for you, or you can find your own niche. Like, what works for you? You know, do it, do extra, do more. We can always do more. And for me, you know, I feel like I can always do more on the field. You know, I don't got to come out on third down. I can stay out in 2 minutes. If you need me, you know, put the ball in my hands, need me to block, I'll do that. Any way to win games, and I'm down to do it.
I think it's okay to have, you know, a selfish mindset in a sense, which will indirectly, you know, help the team. Yeah. You're going to always impact the team, but with the state of the position, you know, you have to think about Nick Chubb first and foremost. And then from there, as I mentioned, you're going to indirectly help the team. Yeah. Whether you decide, if you're looking at it from this lens or this lens, you're going to always help the team, but you also have to set yourself up and put yourself in position so that you are able to take care of your family in the long run. Because with football, look at the guys that were drafted in front of you. Saquon went 2, Rashad Penny went 27, and Sony went 31. And all those guys sustained some sort of injury that have affected their career. And you've been blessed and pretty healthy. Yeah. You know, as long as you keep staying the course and continue that mindset, I think you can catch Jim Brown. Yeah. You know, with some luck, you know, from a health standpoint. Because you got all the tools. You got everything. You're made, you're cut from the right cloth. So I'm rooting for you to stay healthy, because I enjoy watching you play. But also to add on to what RC was talking about, these fans are crazy here in Cleveland. Back in 1950, when we were doing the sandbox cuts and those drills, we were in a game here. I'm not sure which stadium, but it was when they allowed bottles in the stadium. And we had a bad call, well, a good call for us, bad for you guys. And all of the fans were throwing bottles from the upper deck. The upper deck, glass bottles. Yeah. From that point forward, the NFL, only plastic bottles in the stadium. So you got rich tradition here. Your fans are going to always be behind you. You just got to keep doing your thing to excite them, and they're ready to go. Yeah.
Somebody came through the drive-thru. I looked at the ID. It said Mindy.
You knew Mindy.
I did. I said, oh my gosh, hi, Mindy. And this person just drove away. I had a hold put on the account.
She kind of saved the day. She was my little guardian angel.
I know, sure. I appreciate that.
Chan, you think, like, I know you're from Georgia as well. Yeah. Right? You managed to find trouble in Georgia. Yeah. I don't, is Cedartown different than where you grew up? Because I don't know if Nick tries to have an off-field life.
Are you a robot? Like, but you got an old lady. Like, but RC asked your question earlier, and I thought it would get into like hobbies that you have. And you go back to talking about squatting and shit. What do you got a woman? Like, what do you do for fun? Is there fun in Nick Chubb's life?
Man, my fun, man, I got 2 dogs. I got German Shepherds. So, I mean, I play with them. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I put so much time into football, man. Like, I go out. I have friends. I have my boys back home. We step out sometimes. You know, we travel. But, I mean, back with my mom, damn, I got to work out Monday. You know, I can't really enjoy myself like I want to. But, yeah, I mean, I chill. I go out, man. I have fun. I have a good time. I live a good life.
Let me take you out.
Let's go.
We're gonna go back to Atlanta.
Atlanta?
You ever chill in Atlanta?
I chill in Atlanta.
Let me go to Atlanta and enjoy ourselves, man.
I'm down.
Hey, Chan, you know you don't have a lot of fun when you go, I have a good time. Like, you know what I'm saying?
He was trying to convince himself.
Hey, he thought to himself,
Nah.
do I ever have fun? I don't feel like.
I vacationed in 2017 once.
if you know somebody I'm cool with, you can ask Reem. You can ask some boys in the locker room like Njoku, or my boys back home. You can ask about when we step out. Don seen me step out before.
Do you feel as if you have to uphold the persona that you have now? Because a lot of people think you are serious.
Yeah.
Do you feel as if you have to uphold that?
In a way, I'm the whole Batman. That's my thing. Like I like Batman. I feel like I gotta uphold that in a way. Like Bruce Wayne. Like I wear all black when I go out, or I don't talk much. You don't really know much about me. Like I'm an enigma or something. But when I'm out with my boys, man, I try to relax. I don't really care.
It's unquestioned to football people who you are and what you mean to this team, what you've done since being drafted by the Cleveland Browns in 2018. But to the rest of the world, I think it's still not as known because you guys don't win, right?
Yeah.
They're not propping you up on that national platform that some of these other running backs get. And you said earlier you do think you're the best back. What do you feel, though, if any, is your responsibility to put this position in a spot where they can get paid going forward, where they can be treated differently? How do you feel you can affect that, whether it be by your play or your word?
It's by my play, for one. Just staying healthy, which I've done a good job of, and just playing at a high level and not being replaceable, and take care of my work. I feel like I do all those things, but a way I could help out more would be being more vocal, which I'm not natural. I've always been a quiet guy. People never look to me to talk, and all of a sudden everybody want me to talk, So now it's
us?
like
Talking to us.
like this, you know what I mean? Like everybody want to interview me now, want me to talk, want me to be vocal on the field, which I've never done, and so it's a challenge for me. But to get my team better and to get the running back position better, I got to speak up, and I got to be a vocal guy. I got to be a leader, for now even the NFL, and for my team most importantly. But it's a challenge for me just to even do this, just to talk, and I don't let people in. But I think for Cleveland and for running backs, I gotta do a better job of talking more.
I mean, and not letting people in isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm in no way saying that, the way that you've conducted yourself has hurt you, because it hasn't, because your job is to run the football, and you do that as well as anybody in the world. But when you think about the stardom, when you think about the way we do see the Saquon Barkleys, even though he's in New York, anybody in Cleveland who's ever watched you play could say, nah, Nick Chubb is the guy. Nick Chubb is someone who could be out in the front of it. What is it going to take to get this team elevated to that point? Not just the work. How do the 2023 Cleveland Browns compete to win the AFC North and become a playoff team?
If I knew that answer, we just do it. But I think, man, just us coming together. It's been seasons where we've had so much talent and we win like 5 or 6 games. And I think, I think about that at nighttime all the time. I think back to when I was at Georgia, my junior year with Coach Smart, first year, and we were bad. We were like horrible. Like we lost to like Tech, Vanderbilt. It was a bad year. But literally that next year, we're in a national championship. And so I always think back to like, what was the biggest difference to get us from being a bad team to the next year going all the way? When I stay up at night thinking about it. Like I really stay up thinking about what the difference was, and what I can think of is just our team was player-led. Our team was player-led. Like we didn't allow. We had a standard, and us as players, we held everybody to that standard. Like one person not doing something right, we all jumped on them. If one guy is not doing something right, we all jumped on him. It's contagious, and then like the whole team jumps on them, and then we're all one. And practice was so competitive back in Georgia. Like that senior year, man, if it's a drill when it's like no defense, like we just running routes, never saw a drop. And team period, like run versus run, defense versus offense, ones versus ones. We had Roquan Smith over there. I mean, we going at it like we are crazy, like pads popping, like it's competitive, high level. And we were just a team, man. We love to practice, high intensity. We came together. We knew what it took to win, and we never faltered. We never looked back. We just kept going forward. I think we have ways to go till we get there. I think we need to come together more as a team. I think I need to be a better leader, like vocally, and I think we all got to just, find our standard, which we have, but we got to stick to it and stay there. And I think there's no ceiling to where we can go.
So this is my last thing. I watched a clip of you recently at practice, and maybe it was the drill. Maybe it was y'all was doing 4-minute drill and y'all was supposed to be running the ball, where you break it and you slide before the end zone. Now you've done this in the game as well. And the whole world, including myself, goes, that makes sense. That's Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
He actually doesn't care about the stat. He doesn't care about the touchdown. He doesn't care about the extra yardage.
Yeah.
This is who he's shown himself to be. When you do something like that and you actually practice it, and you do hear all the people that have an opportunity to analyze you or give their opinion on you go, it makes sense because he is such an unselfish football player. Is that something that you take pride in?
I do. I'm a team player. I mean, everything I do, like when I'm squatting, when I'm working out, running, like the only thing on my mind is my team in Cleveland. Like that's the only thing I care about. I'm doing that for everyone around me, just so I can be in the best shape for when I come back, so we can win games. I can do my part. But I do take pride in it. But last year it came back to bite me because I didn't go down versus the Jets. I ended up scoring. We were like 2 touchdowns, a minute left, and they come back and win. So, but yeah, that was a 4-minute drill yesterday. Well, 2 days ago.
But bro, just as your homeboy now, I say, you taking money out your pocket though. As quiet as you are, not going out like Freddie said, you're one of the best backs in the league. You're one of the most explosive offensive players in the world at football. You should be on way more commercials. You should have way more crap. But
like Baker had all the commercials.
Yeah. See? You ever think about that? Like you're saying, I thought of it because I somehow how unselfish you are. But can't you be a little selfish with your money?
And I could be. I've turned down national commercial deals before, and I just not me, man. I'm just a small town kid. I don't care about it.
Get a check.
I get the check, but I mean, at the end of the day, like that's just not who I am. I'm gonna stick to who I am over anything.
I wish, man, there's so many similarities. Just hearing you speak, your demeanor, the entire piece, where you are in your career, that I wish you can kind of go back, or I can paint a picture for you. The person I was as a player, I turned down opportunities. That later in my career, I learned that it wasn't always about the money. It was just more so about just being available and having people understand that they can depend on you when they make that call. Because the expectations are, we believe in you as a brand, which is what you are, so they want to reward you for that. And you have to reward yourself by taking advantage of it. No, you might not always feel like it, but in terms of setting yourself up for post-career, trust me, you're going to look back and say, man, I wish I had done a few more of those opportunities, because it's in you. Like, you're very articulate. You go out there, RC says you got your thirst trap tape. Like, people know you're a handsome young man, so those opportunities are going to be there for you. And I just want to just touch on that. But quickly, can you recall a pivotal moment or experience or a person of influence that have, helped you or led you to be the successful person you are now?
I would start off with a moment. The moment is probably when I hurt my knee. I was in a very dark place back then, just not knowing if I was ever going to play again or be the same caliber player I was before. So I went through a lot. That changed my career because I realized you can't take it for granted. And from that day on, I just, I worked even harder. But a person is probably just my mom. My mom probably the strongest person I know. She raised 3 kids on her own, and she worked so many jobs. And I just remember her having like crazy jobs. Like she was like a cook in the hospital. She would work at the Atlanta Dome, like in the concession stands, to make sure that me and my brother and sister had everything we wanted and needed. And I think just her working as hard as she did, now I want to work as hard as I can and pay her back for all the good things she did for us.
I love it.
Well, man, we're all big fans. It's hard for me to be vocal about my fandom based on where I played football in Pittsburgh. But I do, man. And the biggest compliment you can ever give offensive players, I felt that way about Fred as well, is like, I'd go to war with that dude. If I had that guy on my team, I feel like I can win. And I think every Cleveland Brown fan feels that way about you. Personality, whatever it is, man, when the lights are on, bro, you always show up. And that's what's important, bro. We wish you the best of luck. I mean, there's 2 weeks this year. You can sit out when you play Pittsburgh. You don't have to be out there. You know, you figure 15 weeks, you'll still rush for like 1,400, you know, make the Pro Bowl. But nah, man, best of luck this year, bro. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Thank you.
Hey, that Joker do too. He ball behind tight.
Hey, look, baby,
got the dress like the uniform, man. It's a teach tape, dog. It is a teach tape, dog. Hey, when you get to college though, and you got Keith there, Ty, you there with Sony, there was never a time where you was like, hold on, man, I might not play. Like,
I did think that. I thought I was gonna get redshirted. I did,
really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Cause you know Todd, Keith was actually, he had like same year as Todd. But Keith got hurt. And it's only like 5-star. He was like starting ahead of me, I guess because of that reason.
Right.
Yeah, I was fortunate.
It's kind of like the Frank Gore story. You know,
Miami.
Frank going to Miami behind all those guys, and he sort of came out to be the best one.
Right.
You know, in the group, and he played the longest, all that different stuff. It's a good story.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it.